Record it. Okay, I just reminded myself that we need to record this call so they can go back and watch this at any time as a replay. So let me just go back and kind of recap the introduction. I want to say welcome to everybody, new distributors, as well as you may have some guests on the call with us today that are looking at this opportunity, that want to become a distributor, and that's fine as well. Now, this call is designed for the new distributors, but I do want to say what a privilege it is for my wife Amy and I to be a part of such a powerful company, a powerful movement, world-class products, high integrity leadership, tremendous compensation plan, all of those things we have right here in our hands. We have the answers for what people are looking for concerning better health and better finances. So because I just clicked the record button, I'm going to also go back and say this is the new distributor training for Zija International, April the 21st, 2018. Now, some of the things I want to talk about today, we're going to talk about some of the basics in building your Zija business, your distributorship. But first, I want to direct you to Fred Holmes, as he's the one I'm filling in for today doing this, and I feel very privileged that he has asked me to do that. But if you have, if you want to, or not, if you have or haven't, but go to his YouTube page. You may not have been there. If you have or not, go to www.youtube.com/Fred Holmes Zija, HOLMES. www.youtube.com/Fred Holmes Zija. The reason I'm directing you there is because he has taken some time and effort as he's developed the Fast Start training and all that. He has some videos there that you can click on, and you can get the foundation, the things that all of us need to be doing on a daily basis to build our Zija business. That foundation is there. So I'm going to talk about some of those things here today and just hit on them, but you can go and get more detail, in-depth training on that at those videos. And that's there anytime, 24/7. You can go and watch those, and you can direct your new distributors to that as well. So again, that's youtube.com/Fred Holmes Zija to get that. I'm also going to talk about some other things after we hit on those a little bit. I want to talk about some other things that I feel like are important to all of us to be able to continue for the long term building our Zija business and establishing that residual income that's here to stay, right? That's long term, excuse me, that we can all benefit from for the long range. I'm sorry, I've been on the phone a lot this morning doing Zoom meetings. Let me get some water. All right. Then I'm going to talk about things like listening, things like writing your story, things like building your list. All these are just foundational things that I believe are so just paramount and important to building our business. And then we're going to do some Q&A. So if you're new to the Zoom platform, you can take a look at the bottom. If you run your mouse down to the bottom, you'll see a chat icon there. You can begin, and I see some people are already doing that, saying good morning, it's good to hear from you. Yep, that's awesome, thank you. But you can go ahead and if you have some questions, you can begin at any time during this first portion of this call to put your questions there in the chat, and then I'll take some time towards the end of the call to answer those for you. All right, first of all, after you have taken a look there at Fred Holmes' videos, you'll have a really good foundation for building your new distributorship and your business. But some of the things you're going to hear about there is building a list. If you're taking notes, now I hope you are, I highly recommend that, but building a list. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind there is why say building a list? Why not just say writing a list? Well, there's a difference in that. When you write a list, it sounds like it could just be a one-time thing, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to scratch my head and I'm going to, oh, who do I know that needs to hear about this? And I'm going to write down their names and, and then I've got them on my list. Okay, there, I wrote my list. Now I'm ready to go. That's awesome. And that is definitely what we should be doing. But we take it a little step further in that because of just the mindset of building a list rather than just writing a list. So when you build a list, you're using memory joggers. You're always adding to your list because, face it, we're always running into people out and about on our daily lives that need to hear about what we have, the products and the opportunity. I know there's people on this call that are very interested and very passionate about building a solid residual income home-based business. And so that's what we're here to help you and to train you to do. So part of that is always be adding to your list. People you run into at the grocery store, at the post office, at the gas pump, right? At church, at school, at work, at wherever it is that you go about your daily business, write those names on your list. And so you're always building your list because you're adding to it. Now there are memory joggers. You can look at phone books. You can look at other lists. You can look in your phone, database, your contacts, whatever. Add to your list always. Don't let anybody fall through the cracks because why? Everybody's looking for better health and better finances. So we have the answers to both of those. We just need to simply share it with other people and let them know this opportunity exists for them. And what they decide to do with it is completely up to them. Never any pressure, right? But we at least I want, and for you, I want the opportunity to share what we have, to share what we know. And there's all kinds of tools, right? We'll talk a little bit about the system and following the system in just a little bit. So that's just a little bit, one of the foundational things, building your list, always adding to your list. Another thing is developing your story. And again, I'm just going to briefly touch on some of these things, but a lot of different things today. So obviously that means writing your story. You want to put in your background. You want to put in your motivation. What motivated you to get started with your Zija business? You want to put in your results, both product and business results. So that lends itself to the question of, okay, well, I'm a new distributor. I don't have a story yet. Well, hold on. You do. You have a background. What did you do before Zija? You have a reason, a motivation for getting started. What was that? Write that in your story. You have how you got started. Did you get a gold system? Did you get a diamond system? How was it that you got started? So you already have those components. What is it that just really fuels your passion about Zija? And again, why and how and who introduced you? Was it a friend? Was it a relative? Was it a coworker? Whatever. All of those things can be a part of your little short 60-second to 90-minute, 90-second, not 90 minutes, sorry, 60 to 90-second story to just see if a person is interested, if they show some curiosity or some interest in it, right? So you can actually use somebody else's story while you're developing your story. Well, let's go back to the same mental mindset. A lot of things we do here really have to do with mindset and what do we see? What do we think? What do we feel about this issue? We're not saying just write your story, but we're saying develop your story. And as your story develops, as it unfolds for you in your own personal life, well, then you're adding that to your story. I fully believe that one of the most powerful things we have is our story. And there are a lot of powerful stories out there. So again, for the brand new person, use somebody else's story, and while you're developing your own story, and you can intermingle it in with your story, right? Of again, your background, your motivation, how you got started, and then continue developing that story as it develops, writing that down as it changes, um, writing your story, and then learning how to share your story just briefly, 60 to 90 seconds, is a very, very powerful tool that you have to start and to build your Zija business. Now, it doesn't matter how long you've been involved or not. There could be seasoned distributors on this call today. There are most likely brand new distributors, but all of us have our story. So let's use that. Let's utilize that to the best of our ability. You know, one of the reasons why I think the story is so important is because it's personal to you, right? My story is personal to me. Your story is personal to you. Again, it's perfectly fine to use somebody else's story while you're developing your own, but it keeps it from the heart. You know, I love the fact that we get to share from our hearts something that truly can make a life-changing difference in somebody else's life. And I know all, if not all, mostly all distributors within Zija have a heart for other people. And so as we simply share our story, we keep it from our heart. It's personal. This is what happened to me. I can't make any guarantees what it's going to do for you, but let's get started on this journey, and let's lock arms, right? We're a team here. Let's do this together, and let's make a difference in a lot of people's lives. We have that available to us right now. And again, that starts with writing your list, building that list, developing your story. Another thing then is also, and I hear Fred train on this a lot, and I love it. He drives it home. It's the 90-day game plan. Now, if 90 days sounds like a long time for you, that's fine. Break it down into 30-day increments. But what we're talking about is developing a daily method of operation. And that is how many people you're going to contact today. And that's on the phone, it's via email, it's doing Zoom. I love the Zoom platform. I use it often for validation calls, for training meetings, right? For team, for leaders. It's a wonderful platform for all of that. But developing that daily method of operation, treating this like the business that it is. Now, I know a lot of time people will say, well, whoa, wait a minute, I don't need another job. I'm already too busy as it is. I don't have enough time to do whatever, spend time with family. Well, that's why they need to hear about this. Busy people are usually organized people. They don't have any choice. They have to stay organized. They have to stay on top of things, or, you know, all this stuff falls through the cracks. But they also are looking for opportunities to free up some of their time. And we have that. We can offer that to them. And so it's wonderful when we've been able to help people bring their spouse home from work. Maybe that's your desire because they matched or bettered the income that they were getting. And so now all of a sudden they've got that part of their lives have changed, and there's some time freedom that goes there, and there's more time with family and more time to do things at home, more times, whatever, you know, doing things together. So developing that daily method of operation is a very important thing in reaching out to new prospects and continuing with educating and training new distributors. Now, there's a lot of tools available to us. Zija International official channel, also on YouTube, has a lot of videos. Again, for new people, that's Zija International official channel on YouTube. Lots of great videos there on on products, excuse me, on lifestyle videos, on compensation plan, on Moringa, all the kinds of things there. So go there as well and look through those and see, okay, this one will connect with this person, this prospect. This one will touch them. It's speaking to their listening, if that makes sense, right? That's one of the things I also want to talk about on this call. But developing that 90-day game plan and sticking with the system. The system, invitation presentation, validation, or the simplified way of saying that, peak, pass, and plug. Write those things down: invitation, presentation, validation. You could also say it peak, pass, plug. What we're doing is piquing the interest of someone, again, with our story. Just in normal conversation, it comes up all the time about health or finances. And so I can help you with that. I mean, that's something that I find myself and my wife saying a lot, is listening to someone, and then something will pique our interest, but that they said, right? As long as we're listening, and we'll say, oh, I can help you with that. And so, you know, that's a wonderful thing. The invitation is basically just piquing some interest. If there is interest, there's some curiosity there, then the presentation is you want to connect them to a tool. That's peak, pass, right? This is that second part of the system. Pass them along to that information. Pass that information along to them. Let the information do the education, right? Let it do the presentation. So it's not just you trying to share everything that you know or don't know with the new person. We don't want to do that. Let the information do that education for you and that presentation for you. That's very important. So you find those tools that connect with the prospect. And then the third part, invitation, presentation. The third is validation, or if you're saying peak, pass, plug, then the third part is plug. So you're plugging them into one of your business partners, or it can be more business partners. It not just be one, right? But you're letting that person validate the information that your prospect has seen, heard, listened to, whatever it may be. So the validation or the plug is basically just connecting them to someone, a team member, a business partner that can share their story and that can ask questions and answer questions for that new person and see if they're ready to become, you know, part of your team. And that's really the goal in all of that. So following the system is extremely important. I know we all have people that think, and I'm not saying this in a cut down derogatory way at all, but there's a lot of really smart people out there, businessmen and women, and they think, oh, I got this, I know how to do this. And so they try to reinvent the wheel. They try to do things on their own or their own way or whatever. And many times, most of the time, that's not going to work because they're kind of being out there by themselves. They're not working together with the system or with the team. And so we're actually looking for those people that will definitely follow the system. That's extremely, extremely important. So peak, pass, plug, or invitation, presentation, and validation. That's the system. And the people that utilize and follow the system the most, over and over and over again, are the ones that are the most successful and the quickest, if that makes sense. Folks, there's a system in place. So why try to reinvent that? Why try to improve that? Why it's proven itself over time, and it works. So following the system is extremely important to new distributors as well as veteran distributors. It keeps us on track with that daily method of operation that will continue us in building our business as a successful business. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about, that's foundational things, right? And you're going to hear a lot of that on Fred's videos as well. We talked about writing your story and the importance of that and developing it as it develops, as it unfolds. But there's one thing that I want to talk about here today that I think is extremely important for all new distributors as well as veteran. And that is this term, write this down: become a professional listener. Becoming a professional listener will greatly improve the results that we get from the people that we talk to. Now, why am I bringing that up? I know that I'll say it this way. We live in a busy world. We live in a, uh, information technology world where our minds are constantly being bombarded by information, by details that can easily bog us down, or they can improve our lives, depending on the information that we are listening to and are applying to our lives. The law of application is a huge law because we're always hearing more and more and more information. So we have to decipher through what are the things that we're going to apply from the education that we're receiving. What are we going to apply to our lives? Is this good for me? Is this going to help me improve my life? Is this going to whatever, get me closer to my goals in a quicker fashion? So we have the opportunity to pick and choose what we're going to listen to on a daily basis. When are we going to tune out the things that we shouldn't or don't need to be listening to? Why? Because it's not helping us get further or closer to our goals quicker. So we need to become professional listeners. We all know the scenario where we talk to a new person and yet they're talking and we're doing this, looking around, yeah, and something distracts my attention over there. Oh yeah, and we're thinking of other things, and we're letting other things surrounding us distract us from focusing our attention on that particular person and what they are actually saying. Not what we think they're saying, but what they're actually saying. So what I recommend, kind of putting those blinders on. We've all seen those horses that have that, right? So they're not distracted. They're focused on what's right there in front of them. So I recommend putting on those blinders. Now, not, I don't mean that in reality, go, okay, I'm listening. But focus on that person and allow other things not to distract you, but truly listen to what they have to say. And not just thinking immediately about the next time they stop talking long enough for you to get your words in. I know I'm guilty of that. I'm already thinking about what my next comment is going to be, and I'm looking for a place to butt into what they're saying. Mm-mm. We want to just be quiet and listen to them as long as we need to. Becoming a professional listener means you're going to not only hear what they're saying, but you're going to have a greater understanding of the person that you're talking to by listening to what they're saying. So don't be thinking ahead of what you're going to say. It's okay because you know what you want to say, but take the time to stop, to pause, and to truly listen to what that person is saying. And I promise you, it will improve your business. It will improve your results, whether that person gets started with you in your business, right? Joins your team. I believe it'll totally change your business simply because you are working on yourself. We hear that. There's a lot of personal development and mindset and all the things that we working on ourselves more than we're working on our business. Well, one of the things that we can do to help that, it actually the end result is both, right? It's making us a better leader, and it's helping us to build our business simply by taking the time to focus on that person and actually listen to what they're saying. Again, that'll give us a better understanding of who they are and what they're saying and what their needs are. So that's becoming a professional listener. Now, anybody on the call that has any questions today, this is just me. I don't have another person that I'm bringing on to help me answer questions today. But I will be glad to take the time and answer those. Let me see. I'm looking at the chat box here to see. Okay, thank you. Somebody loved the biz talks that we did on Thursday, and I apologize. I forgot to click record Thursday night. So that replay is not out there, but we'll do those again, and it's every Thursday. So I love that. Was able to fill in for Fred on that call as well. Biz Talks, that's every Thursday night. We talked about the invitation, presentation, validation, and we talked about listening. So somebody really connected with that. That's awesome. Yeah, becoming a professional listener. Yep, that's cool. Does change your business. So if you have a question, anybody out there, go ahead and type that into the chat bar there, and I'll keep looking at that as we do some Q&A here for the remainder of the call. While I'm looking and waiting to see okay, here's one. How did you employ to learn how to listen effectively? All right, from Candace, good question. What ideas can we give our newbies who just want to jump in and share? Okay, I see what you're saying there, Candace. And that is what I was alluding to a minute ago, is that we get so excited, and rightfully so. We have the answers that the world's looking for and that they need, and we've got, the best products and the best opportunity and the best business, and leadership, all of those things. And you can tell, I mean, just in my passion here, that we know what we have is the best. Again, #1 home-based business opportunity for 2018. That's huge. So we want to just immediately jump in and just give them the whole wagon or the whole wheelbarrow, whatever, full of information that they're probably not ready to receive. They can't, take all that in. It's too much at one time. So one of the things, again, is learning that less is more in this situation. Listening more than you're talking, right? God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth. We've all heard that analogy. We should be listening twice as much as we are talking. So you don't want to just jump in and share with them everything you know or don't know, because they would then most likely just make a decision totally based on what you're telling them without ever looking at any information. You want them to look at the information. So, that's really the goal. And I find myself listening to people, and then at some point they're going to say something about their health or their finances, or that health or finances of a loved one, somebody, family member, whoever. And I'm going to just say, well, I can help you with that. I know I can. And that almost immediately, every time, gains their interest. And rather than me telling you everything here about it, I've got some information I want you to take a look at. And so that just segues right into the second step of the system. And I ask them, what's that email? I want to send you some links, or cell phone, both would be great. Because when you have a person's name, an email address, a cell phone, you're in business with that person, right? You can get back in contact with them. You can send them the links. You can send them educational materials, whatever it may be, the tools that you want them to take a look at. Those tools are really going to solidify and educate the information, right? And it's coming from third party, or it's coming from Zija. It's coming, it's facts. It's documented facts. And so that's really the goal in that, not to just unload all the information or all the knowledge that you have or don't have, but to um, get them to look at the information, and then you do the follow up, right? So that's very important. um, here's another one here from Alexis. Wonderful. Let me put reading glasses here. In the topic of working on ourselves more than we work on our business, what book or tools would you recommend that really worked for you? Wow. Good night. I don't know. I can't even think. I read so many different books over the years. I'll have to think about that one as far as any. I'm not even remembering all the titles. I know John Maxwell is an author that I have read a lot of his books on leadership. So write down that name. John Maxwell, because he's got some great, actually the different laws, right? There's different laws. Yeah, I can see Amy McKenzie putting the 45-second presentation. Absolutely. That's one that I've read over the years. As a Man Thinketh. Yeah, those are both some great books, great titles that have made a difference in my thought patterns, right? The way, the outlook on life and all of that. But write down John Maxwell. He's got a lot of great books on leadership and leadership development. A lot of the different laws that we need to be applying to our lives on a daily basis. So I would definitely put that down, because all of that falls in this area of personal development, working on ourselves more than we work on our business. That's extremely important. And what really happens when you do that is that you become a leader, and as that leader, you will then attract other leaders. So that's one of the things that happens. Yeah, I know people, again, are so excited when we first get going here, and you should be, again, rightfully so. But become that leader as you work on yourself, your mindset, your personal development, the books that you read, all of that. Become that leader that attracts other leaders. And then one thing that happens there as well is you have, in order to lead, right, you have people that are following. And then you begin developing other leaders. And I call that pop to the top. There's a lot of people out there that want our attention, that need our attention. And then there's other people that deserve our attention because they're proving themselves to have the desire and the passion, the motivation, all of that to truly lock arms and to build this business, to reach their goals. And they're actively participating on a daily basis with that daily method of operation. And those are the ones we're looking for, right? We want to help everybody. I'll say it that way. We want to help everybody, but we can really only help those that want the help. Now think about that. There are some people out there that just won't listen, and that's okay. It's their choice, right? We don't ever push or pressure, but we can help those that want that want the help, and those are the ones that we are looking for. All right, let me read through this one here. Okay. These are great. These are great. I love the opportunity to do this. This one's also from Candace. Thank you, Candace, by the way, for participating here. You build with your wife. Yes, my wife and I, Doug and Amy Stroup, and yes, we build this together. We have actually since January of 2010, when I came on board fully to support her efforts. She had started in July of 2009. All right, it's really a family opportunity for you. Yes, what would you recommend for those who really want to include their family in building, and the focus as you spend time to make this happen? Wow, that's wonderful, Candace. Thank you. Most people have it in their heart of hearts that they want to be able to have the time freedom. Time freedom comes from financial freedom. They want to be able to spend more time with their family. So what better way than to have a home-based business where you can include your family. Now, some of the ways that we have done that over the years. I remember vividly years ago in the end of '09, the beginning of 2010, when I came on board fully, to work with Amy. I remember sitting down with our family. We have 7 children. And I remember sitting down with our family around the big dinner table that we have built for that seats 12, right? Because we have people in and out all the time, right? So anyway, and I remember sharing with them what Amy and I had been introduced to and our vision for what this was going to do for our family and for our future. I think that's extremely important. If you want to build this together with your family, it does require time on the phone, on the Zoom platform now, on answering emails, educating people, prospecting people. Yes, this is not something that's an overnight success that's going to be immediate, right? It's consistent effort, sharing your story, right? Sharing your heart, the opportunity, the business with people. That consistent effort will get you to where you need to be in accomplishing those goals. And so I think we need to share that with our families. And my wife and I did that back when we first got started. Why? Because we saw the vision of what this was going to do for us. At that family meeting, sitting around our dinner table, every one of them agreed that this was a tremendous opportunity for all of us. And every one of them understood that it was going to mean that we were going to sacrifice some family time for a while in order to be able to spend more family time together later, right? Doing the things now that a lot of people won't do in order to be able to do things later that a lot of people can't do because they don't have the time freedom or financial freedom to do those things. One of the things that we did there, Candace, as well, in answering your question is we actually told them, now kids, if you'll help your mom and I build this business, then we're going to take you on a cruise when we reach, I think it was the Emerald level or a level at that time. And they were all very excited about that. And so they did. They understood. Mom and I are busy building our business. It doesn't mean we neglected them. No, it just means they understood that there was going to be some sacrifice involved for a time. But if they would help us, how would they help us? Well, by doing the things around the home that would allow Mom and I to be on the phones more because, we weren't having to wash the dishes and wash and dry the clothes and fold the clothes and put them away and clean the house and all those things that, could take our time. They said they would do those things. And so they had the chores. They said, okay, I'll take care of that. I'll take care of that. So we all worked well together. And it was amazing when the day came that I booked the cruise and I announced it to the family. And we did. We went on that cruise. It was a 7-day, wonderful, to the Bahamas. It just a great, great family time, rejoicing and celebrating together. Very, very exciting. And obviously there's more family time now as a result of sacrificing some things there for a time in order to be able to gain more family time a little bit later. So excellent question, folks. This is a great, great business opportunity that, yes, you can incorporate the family into it. By the way, one of the things that happened along the way is our kids, and this still happens today, is that our children would come to us and say, oh, I ran into so-and-so at the gym or, at wherever. Today we went to grocery shopping for y'all, and here's the person's name and, contact information. They want to know about Zija, Moringa, the business opportunity, the product, whatever it may be. And so many times they would tell somebody just a little bit, enough about what mom and dad do, that we would be able to follow up with those people. So yeah, it's definitely something that you can do as a family. And it's a fun time. You can rejoice and celebrate your victories together. Not something that keeps you from the family, but actually enhances that family time, and focusing on that vision and that goal together has been an awesome part of this journey. All right, any other questions? I'm going to look down through here and see. Okay. All right. It looks like we have answered those. I would recommend also, I know I mentioned some of the books and the author John Maxwell. I would recommend looking for personal development books, mindset books. I would also ask, and I'm sorry that I don't have just a list of those here. You know what, I'm looking right here. I'm in my office, and so I'm seeing one that's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You're right. Excellent book. I'm looking at The Art of Significance. I'm looking right here. It's just all these books that I have lined up here in my, they're all personal development books that helps us become more of a leader. I would actually talk to your sponsor, your leader, Upline Diamond, whatever it may be. Here's one called Listening for Success. Judy, thank you for posting that on here. Excellent book. All of these are just great books that help us, again, work on ourselves and our own personal development, and that will make us the leader that attracts other leaders that we talked about. Here's one last question here. Let's see, from Candace again. Thank you, Candace. I need to bring you over on this side of the webinar, and we can answer these questions together. Let's see. Okay, she says, what is your routine like? That's a wonderful question. She says, habits can be the difference. Yes, they can. Developing good habits and doing away with bad habits does make a big difference. Focusing on the things that make a difference. There's a lot of things, folks, that can distract us from what's really important. And really, all of us personally have to decide what is it that will enhance our lives, that will help us reach our goals sooner, all of that. You know what, Candace? I'm going to take you up on that, and I'm going to bring you over to the other side. Here we go. She'll be here in just a moment. And there she is. How you doing, Candace? Hey.
I'm awesome.
Well, you know what? When you put on there, I'm always ready. And you're the one asking a lot of these questions. So, you know what? I feel very confident that you have some of the answers to these questions as well, as it relates to yourself and your own business and your own developing the leaders below you, right, in your organization. So I'm going to go ahead. Why don't you talk about that last one that you just put in there, good habits versus bad habits, right, and dealing with disappointments, right? And then I'll talk a little bit more on that as well. So thank you, folks. This is Candace Smiley. So glad that you joined me in this Q&A portion of our new distributor training. Go ahead, Candace, if you can answer that for the people.
Absolutely. And Doug, thanks so much for bringing me over. You know, this is so much fun. And this Saturday morning training has been absolutely part of my routine, even though, you know, I've been doing Zija for almost 7 years. It's crazy. So, you know, I think habits are a big deal, right? We bring new people into this business, and I've got a really new team of people, which I'm so excited to be working with, Doug.
Yes.
And a lot of times they say, well, how do I do this? And so I love how Fred always talks about his notebook, right, where he's always taking notes. And I've actually got a really beautiful, I spent the money, exactly, right? I got mine right here. I'm taking notes. But the money this year, and I blessed myself by making sure I got a really great way to keep track of what I'm doing. And I've actually taken the time this year. I'm a mom, right? She's right there. It's my why right there.
Yeah.
And so she's really involved in my life. You answer a call. She's with her grandparents this morning, so I could be here and present this morning. But you know what? She's part of what I do, which is why I asked you the question about family, because she's part of a lot of the things I do. And if I don't schedule the time in, I don't make time for the habit, because it's so easy if I didn't get enough sleep or all of the distractions, that if I take 30 minutes to myself on a Saturday and a Sunday, which is the start of our week in Zija, and I book the time for the things I need to do, I'm able to create good habits. You kind of have to, you can't break a habit. You can only replace a habit. That's how strong they are, right? So I take the time to make sure I have a half an hour for my quiet time, right? My devotional time. This is so important to my business. And I know other leaders who are on these calls say the same thing. If I don't get in the books, in my quiet time, you know, we need that time, then everything else falls apart. That's the start of my day. And then that allows me to really know what I need to focus on for the week. And so remember that, you know, if you're listening into this, you have to replace a habit. So what do you want to replace with? And make sure you give yourself lots of grace as you're doing so. So that's, you know, my bit on habit. And I think disappointments are part of the game. And if you're not making that time for you to touch base with your, you know, your upline support. Doug, I always know the ones who deserve my time because they get in touch with me. Even if they're getting in touch with me and saying, hey, this is not a good week for me to build the business. I will not be one of your front runners this week, but they touch base with me every single day. This is where my volumes are at. Can you touch base with so-and-so? I need some support with this. I feel like I'm losing people in this part of the system. Can we talk about that? That makes my job as an upline support so much easier, because I want to deal with everybody as an individual, right? Everybody comes to the table with a set of skills. I want them to be using those. I want them to be leaning into their strengths. We can work on the weaknesses later. We have a team for that. But what if they just focus on what they're good at, right? Which is why I wanted you to talk about the family, because you have always been so, you know, you and Amy, they built it together. And you and I met on a cruise, right? And your family was on that cruise. And I was absolutely inspired by that. I said, I want to build a business that's not just me traveling the world, but, you know, she comes with me. She comes with me everywhere. She's the corporate, you know, and she, so anyway, it's super cool. But that's all I wanted to share, is replace a habit. So figure out what that looks like. And, you know, the disappointments are going to happen. And, you know, if you're not plugged in, if you're not listening to these things, if you're not touching base with your support system, you're going to be dead in the water, because we can't help you discipline those things and give you the encouragement that, hey, we've been there, done that. You're going to get through. It's going to be fine.
Absolutely. Thank you, Candace. And I'm going to leave you on this side of the webinar just for a few minutes. We have a few more minutes left until we need to close this out, and, you know, by the top of the hour. But, and if you need to go, just say, hey, I got to go, and that's fine. I'll send you back to the other side. But what you just said there is excellent. Developing a routine that will develop good habits and replace the bad habits. Wow. And, you know, I think there's so many people don't even realize that they have bad habits. You know, and it may not be something that's awful, but something that distracts us from what is really important. And so thank you for sharing on that and replacing those bad habits with good habits. That does make a huge difference. And one of the things, you asked something and you talked about disappointments. One of the things that I find myself disappointed in, and that's this: I want this for other people, probably even more than they want it for themselves, until they see it, right? I want them to see it now, because they're on their journey. They've started this path, you know, on this journey, and I know the results that they're going to be able to get, but I can't be disappointed in that. I have to learn not to be, because we're all working at our own pace. We all have our life struggles, and we all have our life skills or lack of. And as we are developing, then, you know, they're going to see it, and it's going to trigger something in their mind, is going to trigger, and they're going to be taken off in this journey with us as well. So I have to learn not to be disappointed that a person may not get it, you know, as quickly as I want them to. That makes sense. Here's another one. what things can I do to be coachable and teachable? Well, that's really good. From Carmen, it looks like. That's a personality, right? But it is something that can be developed. And it's something that really must be developed, because true leaders throughout Zija are looking for that trait in the ones that we work with. Those that are coachable and teachable are the ones that are going to really follow the system. They're going to take the information that we're sharing with them and they're going to run with it. They're not going to say, oh, I don't think that's right, and oh, I have a better way, or I can do it differently. Being coachable and teachable is really learned by practicing and by experience. But it's telling yourself, having that mindset that I'm going to listen to my sponsor. I'm going to listen to my upline. They've already been down this road, further than I have. And so I'm going to be coachable and teachable. Sometimes it means, not saying what you would have normally said.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just going to shut up and listen, right? To be blunt about it, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to train myself to be coachable and teachable. Any comments on that, Candace?
Well, I think that goes right back to what we were talking about earlier, right? With the listening, that being coachable and teachable is, I love how you put it, it's a decision. Because, you're an independent guy. You and Amy, your wife always said, we're going to do this, right? And sometimes that means we have to sit back and say, I'm going to listen for a while. And so when I came into the business of Zija International, I had some experience, and that may not have set me up for success completely, Doug, because I had it in my head that I knew it all. And we know as leaders that the opposite of anybody moving forward is those words, I know. And I can remember specifically a number of months into the business, I took a bit of a hiatus, just like life happens. The beautiful thing is I never missed a check while I was on my hiatus, which is amazingly beautiful, right? That we work a business with a residual aspect. Phenomenal. Love it. But when I came back, Doug, I actually came back. I went to a convention, went to a regional, and I showed up. And I can remember even how my upline looked at me, because I came as if I was going back to school. And I showed up, I had my little book, I had my recorder. I was like, I'm ready, I'm doing this. And I sat in the front couple of rows, and I was like, and my attitude was, I'm showing up, I'm going to listen. I'm going to pretend I don't know anything. If for no other reason, then I'm going to be bringing in a whole new group of people. I'm ready to go to the next level. So I need to take myself back to school and put myself back into that Builder 500 build mode. And I need to show up and listen. I don't know. I'm going to take tons of notes. If for no other reason, Doug, then I want to be the leader that someone says, I can say, I'm doing it too. I'm on every webinar I'm asking you to be on. I'm plugging in. If I can't make it at that time, I'm going to listen to the recording. I'm making that commitment. And that coachable and teachable attitude, I think, it also relates back to humility, which if you look into the meaning of the word humility, means like really good, dark earth. And that's where growth starts. So if you really want to grow your business, you shut this, you open these, and you just show up. That's it.
Wow, that is excellent. Folks, thank you, Candace, for joining me. I'm so glad that you took the time to do that this morning. Thank you so much. I'm going to send you back over so we can close this out, but excellent information. As Candace goes back to the other side there, folks, I really hope that you have benefited from this new distributor training. You can tell there's a lot of information that we go into. You can tell that we truly have a heart for other people, and I know that those of you on this call do. Somebody had said one last thing. It looks like Alexis asked about she's getting stuck on most days because of distractions. The way to stay focused there is simply to prioritize. Now, family is at the top of my list. If my family needs me, I'm there, right? To the best of my ability. Now, so you really just have to prioritize so that you're not distracted by things that don't matter. If I can just put it that bluntly, all of us know there are things that distract us that really aren't that important, but somehow we've made them important. So prioritize those things, to answer that question, and do the things on a daily basis that are at the top of that list of priorities. That'll help you from being stuck, because you can say, oh, there's a potential distraction, but that's way down here on my list today, and it's not as important as the things above that on my list. Or it might even be something that's not even on your list. It might be some just crazy distraction that used to distract you from what's important, but now it's not, because now you're focused. So work on that. Working on the top things in your list of priorities on a daily basis, giving those things the 80%, right? And the other things down the list, the 20%. So again, I want to say thank you to all of you joining this call today. I really hope and pray this has been beneficial to you. Make sure that you're on these calls. Every Saturday we're doing this, and then also on Thursday nights we're doing the Biz Talks. There's other ones different nights of the week. I know that Pat Anderson does, David Moses does. We're doing all of these calls and these Facebook Lives or these Zoom presentations. We're doing these for your benefit. So take advantage of them. Spread the word to your line of people, to your organization, so that we can all benefit from this, and you'll be able to watch the replay of these as well. So let everybody know that these are available to them. Folks, I want us, as we close, to really understand what we have. Zija is the #1 home-based business opportunity in 2018. We have the answer that people are looking for: better health, better finances. So let's get out there and let's make a difference in somebody else's life. Thank you so much for joining us on this new distributor training for April 21st, 2018, and we'll see you at the top. Bye now.